In the headlines, DSS arrests 2 female gun runners with 1,000 rounds of ammunition in Kaduna. Nigerian Air Force airstrikes hit IPOB terrorist hideout across Anambra and Imo states. Tribunal set to deliver judgment in Sokoto and Taraba governorship election petition tribunals. 72 pupils, 10 adults rescued from Congo Mountain Resort after flooding disaster. Hello there, good afternoon and welcome to the news update on Trust TV. I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. We start in Kaduna, where operatives of the Department of State Services have intercepted arms trafficking operation preventing the transfer of approximately 1,000 rounds of live ammunition from Kaduna to Niger State. The 2 female arms traffickers nabbed by operatives have been identified as Rashida Umar and Rukaya Ladan, both from Akwanga in Nasarawa State. The operation, which could potentially escalate security concerns across the region, began in Fadankarshe at Senga local government area of Kaduna State, where the ammunition was initially located. Now, authorities say they suspect that the ammunition was intended for use by bandits operating in the Kontagora area of Niger State, raising alarm bells about the growing reach of illegal arms trade across the country. Now, Rashida and Rukaya were apprehended during a well-coordinated operation by DSS operatives. The DSS has launched a comprehensive investigation into the matter to uncover the entire network behind the arms trafficking operation. Still talking security, the Nigerian Air Force fighter jets under the air component of Operation Udoka II on Tuesday destroyed the armories and hideouts of the indigenous people of Biafra combatants across Anambra and Imo states. The fighter jets conducted several airstrikes on the IPOB fighters' enclaves in Mother Valley, Orsumugu in Newi South local government area of Anambra State, and at Aku Ihube in Okigwe local government area of Imo State. According to a statement on Wednesday by the Air Force spokesperson, Air Commodore Edward Gabkwet, the air operations were executed following an intelligence report that the fighters had concluded plans to unleash mayhem on residents and other states across the region. He said some of the bombed locations were considered to be armories of the IPOB fighters. Gabkwet also noted that airstrikes destroyed IPOB fighters' camps where they were built to hold their meeting in Imo State. Away from security-related matters, the Taraba State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal has fixed Saturday, September 30th, to deliver judgment on a petition filed by Professor Sani Yahya, the gubernatorial candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party, challenging the victory of Governor Kefas Agbu of the People's Democratic Party in the March 18 governorship election in the state. The tribunal sitting in Jalingo, the state capital, will deliver a ruling on Yaya's petition seeking the nullification of the victory of Governor Kefas on the grounds that the election was marred by massive rigging, violence, voter intimidation, and widespread malpractices. Yaya had prayed the tribunal to nullify the entire exercise and call for a fresh governorship election in Taraba State. Similarly, Sokoto State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal is set to deliver judgment in the petition challenging the election of Governor Ahmed Aliyu on Saturday. Secretary to the Commission, Sunday Martins, in a notice to parties in the petition, had informed councils that supporters would not be allowed into the court premises as movement will be heavily restricted by security agencies. Well, let's talk about some of those tribunals that have already been concluded. In Gombe State, the State Election Petition Tribunal has dismissed the petition of the candidates of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and the Africa Democratic Congress, ADC, challenging the victory of Governor Ino Yahya of the All Progressive Congress in the March 18 governorship election in the state. PDP's governorship candidate Muhammad Barde had asked the tribunal to declare him winner of the election on the grounds that the electoral process that brought APC's candidate to power did not comply with electoral provisions with regards to the Electoral Act of 2022. Now here's Ibrahim Ismail with the details of the story.
The tribunal led by Justice S.B. Belgore delivered judgment on the petition of the African Democratic Congress ADC and its candidate, who alleged that the running mate of the APC's governorship candidate has forged his certificate. The petitioner argued that Gombe State Deputy Governor Manasseh Daniel Jatau was not qualified to contest the election, and his disqualification would mean disqualification of the governor, as it is a joint ticket. The tribunal also dismissed the petition of PDP's governorship candidate Muhammad Barre, who argued that Governor Inwa Yahya was unlawfully declared winner of the March 18th governorship election. The tribunal held that the petitioners have failed to prove their allegations beyond reasonable doubt.
We are 100% certain, without any iota of doubt or apprehension, as to the merit of the petition. When you pronounce on a petition and no pontification is made on the major premise on which the entire petition is built, same has to fall, and we'll pursue it at the appellate court.
While there are documentary evidence to show that collation was ongoing in 7 local governments on the 19th of March 2023, so you cannot have a declaration before collation. But in this case, what happens is that you have declaration of winner even before the collation was concluded. But the tribunal felt we have not proved our case and they dismissed it. So that is left for an appellate court to decide whether we were correct or were not correct.
Reacting to the petitioner's decision to appeal the judgment, counsel to the defendant said the tribunal's ruling will prevail at the Court of Appeal.
It is a motion without movement. No, everybody, even you journalists, were there when the result was declared on the 19th. The mere fact that the returning officer made honest mistake, in writing 18 instead of 19, will not nullify any election. And the law is very clear on that. Even the Electoral Act, as cited by the Honorable Tribunal, has stated that inconsistency in date or mistake in date will not nullify any election.
So we thank God Almighty for this victory, and we say it's good news for Gombe State, good news for the people of Gombe. And Alhaji Muhammad Yahya is going to continue working for Gombe.
The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) had declared Inwa Yahya of the All Progressive Congress (APC) as winner of the March 18th governorship election after scoring 342,821 votes. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Gombe.
Now, the National Union of Road Transport Workers has called on its parent body, the Nigeria Labour Congress, to desist from meddling in its internal affairs. Acting General Secretary of the union, Kayode Agbeyanji, had made the assertion during the National Executive Council meeting of the NURTW on Wednesday in Abuja. He alleges that the recent outbreak of violence at the National Secretariat of the union was due to the interference of the NLC for ulterior motives. According to him, the NLC has gone overboard in expressing its interest in the internal affairs of the Road Transport Workers Union. He said the union expects the NLC to respect the determination of the NURT to ensure the emergence of a democratically elected national leadership for the NURTW ahead of its forthcoming quadrennial delegates conference in Abuja. Now, the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress has directed all its affiliate members across the country to get ready to shut down the nation on October 3rd over the failure of the federal government to meet the organized labor's demands. The presidents of both the NLC and the TUC, Joe Ajero and Festus Osifo, declared this during a press briefing at the Labour House in Abuja after an emergency meeting of the National Executive Council. Kabir Lawal tells us more.
Our people united can never be defeated. Our people united can never be defeated. Our people united can never be defeated. Great Nigerian workers. Great Nigerian workers.
Speaking to journalists in the press briefing, the NLC president, Comrade Joe Ajero, said the proposed has become imperative following the continuous failure of government to address issues raised by Labour, especially following the hardship being faced by Nigerian workers due to the removal of fuel subsidy.
And the subsequent successful 2 days nationwide strike of the 5th and 6th of September and other meetings that were supposed to demonstrate the preparedness of the Nigerian workers to push through their decision to embark on an indefinite nationwide strike if their demands were not met.
His TUC counterpart, Festus Osifu, said as part of the Independence Day celebration, councils resolved to direct all workers to organize rallies and peaceful protest to draw the attention of government on the need to do the needful.
Of the Independence Day celebration and to demonstrate our resolve for a truly independent Nigeria to take our destinies in our own hands and rescue our nation. 2, to embark on an indefinite and total shutdown of the nation beginning on 0 hours, Tuesday, the 3rd day of October 2023. 3, to direct all workers in Nigeria to withdraw their services from their respective workplaces commencing from the 3rd of October 2023.
The councils further urged Nigerians to cooperate with unions as the action is meant to better the welfare of Nigerian workers. Kabir Lawal, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, the federal government has urged all ministries, departments and agencies across national and sub-national levels to ensure access to information in an effort to promote transparency and accountability in order to eliminate corruption in government. Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, gave the charge at the presentation of the 2023 Transparency and Integrity Index report in Abuja.
Building trust among citizens of a country towards its government through public institutions creates an environment for reassurance and recommitment to achieving the objectives of public service. This was the position of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, represented by the Permanent Secretary, General Services Office, Maurice Namdi.
When this information is in the public domain, it promotes accountability by allowing the public to scrutinize government actions, decisions, and spending. This, in turn, discourages corruption and mismanagement, and as well as foster trust and build confidence between government and the citizens.
He admitted that bottlenecks such as administrative burden of compliance, cybersecurity issues, apathy by citizens, poor record keeping, non-maintenance of websites, low literacy levels, among others, hamper efforts to institutionalize the principles of transparency and accountability through the Freedom of Information Act.
Government is putting measures in place to address such challenges, including the domestication of freedom of information to subnationals, amend laws conflicting with penal code, criminal code, and public complaints commission.
With our partnership with the Bureau of Public Service Reforms, we have seen some improvements in terms of public institutions' willingness to disclose information. In the first edition we launched, the highest rank organization was 33.4. And of course, last year it was 57.8 thereabout. This year, the highest rank organization is 79 thereabout. And so we have seen improvement in terms of the willingness, of MDAs to disclose information in the public domain.
The 2023 Transparency and Integrity Index Methodology Handbook was developed by the Bureau of Public Service Reforms in partnership with the Center for Fiscal Transparency and Integrity Watch to assess federal, state ministries, departments, and agencies of government with a detailed guide to the variables and scoring criteria used in the assessment of public institutions' compliance to fiscal transparency and accountability, laws, and other commitment. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Well, you're watching the news update on Trust TV. Coming up ahead. Creativity meets ingenuity in Maiduguri, and we will tell you the story of a young fabricator's remarkable exploits. More on this after the break.
Hello guys, welcome to Showtime.
I don't even believe there's any other industry that will handle me like movie industry.
Yeah.
I told you I'm deep and soaked into movie industry.
In secondary school, there's Fatima and Mariam Adamu, and then we sort of took the names of the characters in that cartoon.
I think entertainers themselves need to wake up and smell the coffee and say, diversification is the way to go. Yes, you can sing or make great beats or act in a film, but what else can you do?
I became one of the best makeup artists in Nigeria. I won AMA Award Best Makeup Artist.
Do you think we are I need the fool too? When I talk to you, you start straight. Attention!
Welcome back and thank you very much for staying with us in the news. Let's quickly bring you up to speed with the stories making the headlines at this hour. DSS arrests 2 female gun runners with 1,000 live ammunition rounds. Nigerian Air Force airstrikes hit IPOB terrorist hideout in Anambra and Imo. Moving on to some of the day's other news, the economic hardship in Nigeria has forced the federal government to cut costs and opt for a low-key celebration to mark Nigeria's 63rd independence anniversary without the usual fanfare. Now, the secretary to the government of the federation told a news conference that the celebration will be low-key this year as the Tinubu administration remains aware of the economic situation in the country.
Current statistics indicate that 71 million Nigerians now live in extreme poverty, while 133 million of the country's population are classified as multidimensionally poor, according to the national database, with hyperinflation at 25.8% as of August 2023. Naira exchange rate at 1,000 to a dollar at the parallel market. Unemployment at 12.2% in the fourth quarter of this year. More Nigerians will continue to fall into the poverty bracket. As Nigeria, the 6th oil-producing nation and largest economy in Africa, set to celebrate its 63rd independence, the government says prevailing socio-economic condition in the country dictates that an elaborate celebration is not required.
The President has given his approval for this 63rd anniversary to be low-key, in line with the present economic realities. The theme of the anniversary is Nigeria at 63, renewed hope for unity and prosperity.
The Nigerian government says difficulties faced by the citizens because of fuel subsidy removal will give way for a renewed hope for stability and prosperity.
When he got nomination to contest the presidency, and part of his speech, acceptance speech, he said, nations are great because the citizens will believe that tomorrow will be better than today.
With 37 billion barrels of oil reserve, 209.5 trillion cubic feet of proven gas, huge deposits of gold, diamond, uranium, over 40% arable land among several other potentials. Experts say only purposeful and credible leadership will propel the country's growth trajectory. Shapir Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, on Tuesday restated the commitment of the legislature to addressing the socio-economic challenges facing Nigerians, stressing that it is a priority for the 10th House of Representatives. The Speaker, in his opening address, while welcoming members back from a 2-month annual recess to the National Assembly, expressed concerns over the hardship occasioned by economic instability across the country.
Nigeria is challenged on several economic fronts. Presently, Nigerians are dealing with a cost of living crisis occasioned by high cost of energy, skyrocketing food prices, lack of livable wages, negative effect of the fluctuating foreign exchange rates, and a host of other issues. While the executive arm of government is engaging the citizens and trying to work out strategies to tackle the hardship in the country, the Speaker says legislative actions must be dictated by a clear, robust vision aimed at supporting the executive in restoring the citizens on the path of prosperity. The Speaker stated that the 10th House would maintain the tradition established by the 9th House in terms of speedy consideration of the appropriation bills, which returned the country to a January-December budget cycle, as well as submission of reports by some ad hoc committees.
Accordingly, all ad hoc committees shall cease to exist on October 3, 2023. However, in an event that any ad hoc committee is unable to conclude its assignment on this date, such tasks shall be yielded to the relevant standing committees of the House.
The Speaker, while appealing to the organized labor not to embark on a nationwide strike, noted that the House must put in extra work hours to ensure that the budget is passed in good time to enable its implementation from the first day of 2024.
To consider the various actions being taken by the federal government to alleviate the current hardship faced by Nigerians. As promised earlier, this House remains committed to getting a survival wage to all Nigerian workers.
In another development, the House resolved to mandate the House Committee on Health Institutions to investigate cases of unethical exploitative practices in procurement of surrogacy by fertility hospitals and clinics. The House is alarmed by the fact that fertility centers have capitalized on the absence of a suitable regulatory framework to exploit providers, donors, and potentially engaged in the trade of donated eggs. The House maintained that if the trend is not urgently checked, it will lead to an increase in cases of infertility and cancer infection among young donors and surrogates, as well as promoting exploitation practices.
Desperate women of childbearing age are coerced through target marketing to sell their eggs with potentially adverse effects on their future reproductive health and overall well-being.
After mandating the House Committee on Health Institutions to ensure compliance, the Green Chamber thereafter adjourned plenary to October 3rd.
Now, the surge in transport fares across the country occasioned by the removal of fuel subsidy has continued to push Nigerians to resort to less expensive means of transportation, moving from point A to point B. Now, motorized bicycles are making a return in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital, where creativity is meeting ingenuity, enabling Nigerians to make ends meet. Trust TV's Beatrice Kurusi met with a young fabricator who is making this happen.
The transportation sector over the past months is among the worst hit as a result of the withdrawal of fuel subsidy that saw hikes in fares across the country. It forced several residents to walk long distance while others relied on bicycle for movement within the town. The cost of moving from place to place inspired Umar Yusuf to fabricate a motorized bicycle powered by fuel that can cover 18 kilometers and above. He used a GX200 generator and other machine parts to construct the bicycle.
Actually, due to the problem of the subsidy by the federal government, I now think of what will bring or what will ease the transportation system. So I now advance my knowledge of creativity into construction of motorized bikes. The engine I'm using in the production of the bicycle is normal GX 200 generator, which most people know use it for vulcanizers or grinding machines. So that is what I am using for constructing these motorized bikes. Yes, it uses fuel, and the fuel consumption is at least you can run 18 kilometers per liter, and you can run 60 kilometers per hour with the one I'm constructing now.
Omar plans to construct an electric bicycle, but his small factory sits on a temporary site and harbors the fear that he may be served a quick notice at any time. Omar Yusuf challenges also include capital and tools to accomplish more innovative creations.
Where I'm working now is just a temporary government street, and the government can come anytime and say she wants her land, maybe want to build something. And for now, my best challenges is empowerment. I just need empowerment so that I can employ more youth to learn the work and also increase the level of my production.
He hopes to fabricate more machinery that will make life easier for people, a dream that keeps busy at his workshop almost all the time. Bitrus Kuruti, Trust TV News, Maiduguri.
To developments on the international scene, 72 Aliwal North Primary School children and 10 adults were reportedly trapped at the Kango Mountain Resort in Outshore since Sunday after a heavy downpour across the Western Cape and Eastern Cape area. Now, Mayor Chris Macpherson said they were able to drive out on Wednesday, and the municipality said earlier this week downpours had caused a river running through the resort to overflow, leaving the group trapped at the premises. An emergency helicopter was deployed on Tuesday to provide food and water supplies as the school group, while in good spirits, was unable to cross the flooded river and roads. Macpherson advised motorists that some streets in the town are still closed at the crossing to the Goblas River in Meren Sport, and is also still closed to traffic. Now, heavy rain and gale force battered the Western Cape over the long weekend, causing severe flooding in the area. And in sports, secret observers will be deployed to match venues to monitor the activities of referees and clubs in the 2023-2024 Nigeria Premier Football League season. The Chief Operating Officer of the NPFL, Davidson Owumi, announced the scheme as part of the league body's steps towards improving quality officiating. The move will help curb poor officiating in the Nigeria Top Flight competition. It will also ensure that referees no longer carry out their duties under any form of duress. The observers will provide useful information on the conduct of match officials on the pitch and check for concerns of intimidation of match officials during the games. The 2023-2024 NPFL season will kick off this weekend with 8 matches across different centers. That's it. You're up to date with the latest news stories at this hour. Feel free to follow us as usual across our social media platforms to catch up on our content, and you can also visit trusttv.com for the latest news. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you for watching.